within 72 hours of movement of bees into the county, and notify the initial ag commissioners within 72 hours of the last movement of bees out of the county. Okay, so let's see. So the information that you need would be the name of apiary operator designated representative, address of apiary operator or designated representative, the phone number where apiary operator or designated representative can be reached, location where colonies were moved to, and number of colonies moved. But for all those information, you can easily do it through Beeware. So that's why we highly recommend that beekeepers, once they register, whenever they move their bees, just use Beeware to, to locate their bees and then notify the counties. It's the easiest way. It's just a few clicks away. And the intra-county, is also required by the laws whenever you move your bees from one spot to another. Say like maybe 2 miles down the street, you still have to notify the ag department within 72 hours. And the information is the same. And you can somebody mute their speaker because I'm hearing a lot of echo.
Oh, yep, just did.
Okay, thank you. And so, the procedure is the same. If you use Beeware, it's very easy, and we know exactly where the bees are. And be sure to keep it up to date because, like I said, it's very important to have current information regarding your bee locations. Otherwise, we don't know where your bees are in times when there are applications going on. So relocation and Beeware. So, if you use a Beeware, is fast and it's the easiest way to notify the ag commissioners. So this is what it looks like when you are managing your bee locations in Beeware. So anytime when you need to add a bee location, you just go to add location, and then it will ask you where your bees are, and you just enter the address, and it will just pin the bees on the map. And only us can see the information, and nobody can see it because, like I said, it's protected by the laws. So in summary, 72 hours, and then use Beeware to update your locations. Any questions?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Okay.
So let's see. So one of the questions that came up previously was, is there anything in place to protect someone from having their hive stolen? Meaning that if they register them, they don't become like open, available public knowledge, right? So,
no.
And the reason is that, people don't want to say, hey, here's a map of where I can steal bees.
No, nobody can see it except the government officials. So only us can see it. So I can reassure you that not even the applicator, because applicator can register with the Beeware because they use that as a tool to notify beekeeper, because they need to do a bee check when they are spraying something that is toxic to bees, and all they get from the system is just the contact information of you guys or any beekeepers, and then they just call up that person and let them know that, hey, I am making an application at the orchard with the location, and you got to move your bees, or you can work with the beekeepers. So the minimum notification time is 48 hours. It can be shortened if you work with the applicator. You just have to do whatever you could to save the bees, like cover the bees, or move them somewhere outside of the application zone within that 1 mile radius. So like I said, nobody can see your beehive locations except the county staff.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then here's a question that it's not necessarily in regards to the moving them out of the county, but what about the occasional homeowners, maybe people that have bought things not commercially but like through Home Depot, right? And they're applying them, there's no notification system with those folks, right?
No, not that I'm aware of, because home use pesticide is in a whole different category. Those only applies to commercial beekeepers. So but like I said, if you suspect you have a bee kill, and reach out to us, and then there are protocols for us to pull samples and just to rule out that decline was caused by pesticide.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then here's another location question. So if someone resides in San Joaquin County, but their bees are not located here, they're in a different county, the registration happens in that county where the bees are located, correct?
Exactly. And if you use Beware, I assume, if anybody is attending this presentation, that you guys probably have, access to the internet. So it's very easy just to use it, Beware, and then register through Beware. And that would goes to the home county of where your bees are located at. So say like if you have your bees staged in Merced counties, so you do the registration through Beware, and it will be registered in Merced County, and then you have to pay Merced County $10. Or if you have registered here in San Joaquin County, you send them the receipt to prove that you have paid, and it's good for the entire year. So it's only a small fee, $10, and then to register.
Got it. Thank you. It looks like that's it so far.
Okay. All right. So let me move on to the last presentation, which is about marking. Okay, let's see. Share screen. Okay, share.
All right. Good deal. We can see it.
Okay. All right. So this is my last presentation. Is about theft prevention. And so I'm going to talk about the apiary marking requirements, and also I'm going to talk a little bit about the brand, which we have talk about during the testing section. Okay, so anybody who has the bees, not in their home, not staging the bees at their home, you have to mark your beehive. So sometimes, if you drive around in an orchard, you might see beehives that are not marked. So those beehives are actually, in violation. And there are requirements about marking your bees too. Say like if you, for instance, if you are lending your bees to somebody for pollination, which is, and then you put your bees not at your home, then you have to mark the bees. And what I'm talking about, the marking requirements, is by the sign that is prominently displayed on the entrance side of the apiary, or stencil on the hive that states in dark letters, not less than an inch in height, on a background of contrasting color. The name of the beekeeper, person responsible for the apiary, his or her address and telephone number. And if you don't have a telephone number, say no telephone number. And then if you live in a city or county that has their county ordinance, you will have to follow that rules, because the first point is about is the state laws, but also counties or cities, they might have their own marking requirements, so you will have to follow that. So the marking requirements from the state law is 1 inch in height minimum on background of contrasting color, and name of the owner or person responsible for the apiary, address can be just a city or state, phone number, and if there is no phone number, a statement of no phone number. If no phone number, full address must be on the hives, and can be displayed on a sign at the entrance side of the apiary rather than on each hive. So I'm going to show you some example. It's really cumbersome with all the requirements, but let's look at some example. Okay, so you look at this sunflower fields where people are placing their hives for pollination, and you can just place a sign with your name, address, and telephone number and on the entrance side. So the reason for that is, in case people see the bees and they need to spray or they need to contact beekeepers, they will have the information. And believe it or not, when I work in Tulare, one time I got a complaint from a homeowner. She was complaining there are a lot of bees invading her backyard. And then when I was there and then, drove across the road, and that was a almond field. And then, all I saw was the beehives got rammed by a car or something. The hives was broken and the bees were everywhere. It was crazy, it was just painful to watch. The beehives were all broken. You could see everything were exposed. But then at that time there was really no way I could contact the beekeepers because he didn't put a sign, he didn't stencil his box. So it took me a great deal of time to look up the system. In the past, we didn't have Beeware, so I had to hunt that person down in order to tell the person, you need to fix your beehives, unfortunately. Yeah, so that's why it's very important. If you are staging your bees not inside your home, make sure you mark your beehive so that way people can get in touch with you in case there's something going on. Okay, and then this is another example. If you stencil your bees, you don't have to put it on every hive. So maybe 1 or 2 on each pellet is fine. The main thing is just to have the contact information for people to see, to be seen, and people can contact you in case there is a problem. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the brands. So brands are in addition to apiary marking. The main purpose is just for theft prevention, and also for recovery in case there is a theft of apiary equipment. So brands are a series of number that are burned into the apiary equipment by a branding iron. And each brand number is assigned to a person or to a company or a business. And then the brands may not be altered in any way, which we have talked about a little bit, during the happy hour. And so it is unlawful for any person to remove the apiary equipment brand with any serial number brand other than I can't really see. Let me just move that bar. Okay. So it is unlawful for any person to have apiary equipment branded with any serial number brand other than that which is registered or owned by them without a bill of sale. So which means that if you acquire a piece of equipment with brand number, you better have a bill of sale from the previous owner. So, and to obtain a brand, you have to go through the CDFA. Here's the contact information, and there's also a website for you to visit. Let's see if I can just pull that website and show you. Let's see, new here. So this is the website where you can get in touch with the branding department, and then you will get more specific information pertaining to branding. And each brand, I believe, is $25, and then which is a transferable fee when you obtain a brand from the previous owner. So that is the bill of sale that worth $25. Okay, so let me go back to my slides. Okay. And this is the form from CDFA where you can apply, and then you just submit that form. And if you are the owner, if the new owner already has a brand, he or she may have additional brand numbers transferred to his name without charge. So you may not have to pay, if you already have a brand under your belt. So I think that's pretty much it. Here's just some examples of brand. And of course, there are requirements for brand. You have to follow the regulations to mark your brand. So here's just the example of branding. And I think that's pretty much it. Do you guys have any question?
Yeah, thank you, Gabe. So, so when it comes, so if you happen to be in the thrift store and somehow
Right.
you locate an apiary brand, do you then have to register it because you don't have I'm wondering, what are the implications if you do happen to come across one and are not the original brand registered owner?
Let's see. So the thrift store, so it's probably they gather stuff from other people, right? Which is sold, which was sold to them, and without that bill of sale, and I don't think it's illegal, but I can check for you. Yeah, I'm not quite sure about this answer.
How that branding works.
Yeah,
Okay, no problem, no problem. It's just a
right,
question.
right.
Yeah. And does a question that just came in is, does branding only apply to commercial apiaries?
Not really. Anyone can obtain the brand, and like I said, it's a registration pertaining to a particular person. That number is unique, so it's kind of like a car registration VIN number, and then you can trace back. So that's why when you place your brand number, new brand number, it has to be below the old one. You cannot obliterate or you cannot obstruct the old one. So that's why you have a paper trail that you can trace back to who owns it in the past. So if you look up that brand number with CDFA, they should be able to provide you with the previous owner information.
Got it.
Right. So maybe that kind of answer your last question. If you get something from a thrift store, maybe you can record that number and then check with CDFA and then see if that number is legitimate, or maybe you can get some history from CDFA regarding that brand number.
Got it. And then just in general, so obviously, so for folks that have not, maybe they have bees, they want to go ahead and get them. They want to go through the Beware, they want to fill out the form. Are they going to be penalized for not registering earlier in the year?
We highly encourage people to register because there are so many beekeepers out there, and then to go after every single beekeeper would be almost impossible. But we highly encourage, because the main reason behind that, we're not here to be punitive. We want to encourage registration just because of bee protection. And like I said, we always want to know where the bees are, especially when you're living in a ag county, like San Joaquin County or a lot of Central Valley counties, and your backyard may be next to an orchard. People might be spraying, and if they don't know that you have bees in your backyard, that can be a problem. So that's why it's always important to register, for your own protection.
And basically gave what the protection is, or it's the notification process. So if you do have a commercial applicator, I don't know if that's the right terminology,
Yeah.
It allows you as the beekeeper to get up to 48 hours notification so that you can then do something.
Do
And I think
something.
that's,
Yeah.
and I think
cover your
that's where the
bees.
challenge is because, for your hobbyist beekeepers, there is
Right.
not really much they can do. I mean, they can't move the hives outside of the mile, right? That's not
Yeah.
gonna.
So that's why I hear examples like the beekeepers would work with the growers, that they might spray the pesticide during the non-active hours when the bees are sleeping. So when all the bees are not active, not flying everywhere, and when they apply, so the bees are not harmed. Because there are active periods for bees. So if the bees are in their hives, so they should be safe, and then you cover your bees. So I've heard growers work closely with the beekeepers, and then they coordinate to avoid any harm to the bees. Nobody wants to do harms to the bees, if they could.
True. I think
Right.
most value the bees, which is good.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a gardener, and I grow my own vegetables. So I rely on the bees a lot to pollinate my my crop too.
Mhm. Very good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you the big question, and this is,
Okay.
I'm sure you've heard this before, but sometimes beekeepers are worried about registering their hives because it's now the government officials have knowledge that they have bees and where they are. And, you know, is it really just a cash grab to be able to get extra funding? Is there an alternative motive to this?
No, basically just for bee protection, like I said, it's not a cash cow or anything, because the registration fee has been in place for a long time. If you look at the, the registration, as far as I know, it's always been like $10, since I, start working with the county. So maybe it was even lower in the past. So $10 from each person, I don't think it's a whole lot. The main thing is about apiary protection.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, I'm looking, I don't think I see any
Right.
additional questions in the chat, but what about, does anybody want to unmute themselves maybe if they have any questions they
Yeah.
would like to ask? All right. I always like to use the 3-second rule. So unless there's someone that's not able to figure out where the unmute button is. So, all right. Well, with that, and actually, Gabe, do you have your contact information? So if someone wanted to reach out to you back channel on how, maybe if they had a question that they wanted to follow up with you on after the meeting?
Maybe you can send me a group email maybe tomorrow, and I can reply back to your email. So I will have my contact information in my
Okay.
email. Or if you want, you can share the email with them too.
Is that okay? All
Yeah,
right.
it's fine. Yeah,
Yeah, that,
because our emails back and forth, we have been talking about registration and a fee waiver, stuff like that. But you can shoot me an email, and I will just reply back to you.
all right, that works. And
Yeah.
then one last question before we wrap up.
Yeah.
What other types of educational opportunities are you taking advantage of to help kind of educate people on the requirements?
You mean like something like this, like an outreach event? So we can reach
Yes.
out to
Is
more
there anything else that
people,
you have on your
and
calendar?
also enforcement too, because we have county biologists go out to look for people who are not registered, because we're not being punitive, but we want to bring people into compliance. And like I said, keep saying the main thing is to protect the beekeepers. If you are not doing that part, because the entire apiary protection program, the laws requires everybody to do their part. The beekeepers register their bees, with the county. So, and then the growers are required to do their bee check when they are applying something toxic to bees. So if everybody is doing their dual diligence, and the bees that should be protected. But if somebody is not doing it, and just one person is doing it, just one party is doing it, then the whole system will fall apart. And so that's why you have bee kills if somebody is not registered, because nobody knows your location, even though the applicator might ask for the contact of the beekeepers, but they are not able to reach out to the beekeepers because the information are either not updated, or the person is not registered. So that's why whenever you have a new location, it's always a good idea to update it. It's required by the law, but also get into the habit of updating your new location if you move your bees around.
I think the only danger is that when you say non-compliance, it sounds really, really serious. And
Right.
and I think a lot of beekeepers will go, well, gosh, what about all these, people that are applying pesticides, that kind of thing? Are they in compliance? Why isn't that a bigger problem? And it's just something to consider. I'm sure you've heard this, and I'm sure you've gotten, pushback or maybe opposition in the different communities where you've worked, where it becomes that fine line. And obviously we want to protect our bees. I think there's no question about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, if everybody is doing their job, protecting the bees, and then because growers, they have their pest pressure too, and so that's why they're doing everything they could to notify the beekeepers, and then to work with the beekeepers, so that way both sides are being protected, so the beekeepers can have their bees safe, and then the growers can treat their crop, and then they can harvest it.
Got it.
Right.
Good. Well,
So
thank you.
yeah, thank
Thank-
you for having me here. It was really a pleasure for me to do the presentation. It really helps me to strengthen my knowledge too, because I haven't done a apiary program since I left Tulare County. Santa Cruz County is a smaller county that doesn't have a lot of apiary activities. So by doing the presentation, you really helped me to immerse myself into the apiary regulations.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, we hope that you already own a bee suit, and maybe you'll get a chance to get some bees of your own someday. I think definitely beekeeping there's a learning curve, and
Right.
having that practical experience will help
Right.
you
Yeah.
connect with those beekeepers out there that you're trying to work with.
Yeah. I mean, in the past, I got stung in a bee suit too. So
Oh,
it's very interesting because I used to work in vector control as a seasonal. So I have done yellow jacket removal. So for some reason, I never got stung by yellow jacket, but I got stung by the bees.
oh, the
I don't
honeybee.
know.
Oh
Yeah. Because when I was doing the yellow jacket removal, digging up the yellow jacket nest from the ground, and never got stung. I had a lot of faith in my bee suit until one day I got stung by the bees in my bee suit, and I was like, okay, so am I really getting a lot of protection from the bee suit? Maybe it's just that particular bee suit. I don't know.
It could be. Well, and
Could be.
yellow jackets and honeybees have different lengths of stingers, right?
Right,
So
right,
usually,
right,
what a honeybee can sting through, you're definitely gonna have a yellow
right.
jacket sting through too.
Yeah, totally. And then it kind of reminds me of my coworker, who was dealing with the yellow jacket. And one time her veil was swarmed with the yellow jacket, and they start injecting venom. So she had to back off because the venom start irritating her throat.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So you have some crazy story when you are dealing with yellow jackets, and they're probably like more aggressive than the Africanized honeybees.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Be
But
careful what you
yeah,
suggest.
yeah.
Oh, who knows? We're fortunate that they haven't really made it here to California yet that we know of. So
Right. Cool.
yeah, we want to try and keep it that way if we can.
Right.
We're very fortunate as beekeepers in this area of California to not really have that as an ongoing threat, but
Right.
we do have folks on the line that are from Southern California, and that's something they're always kind of on
Battling.
guard for. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So, well, very
Yeah.
good. Well, Gabe, I thank you again. And again, if anybody has any questions, are welcome to email us at bigvalleybeekeepers
Yeah.
at gmail.com. We can always get you Gabe's contact info, his email address. And we really appreciate you taking the time for us. And please tell Tim we said hello and
Sure.
thank you. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you so much, everybody. And you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. You too. Our next meeting, just so everybody knows. So watch for your email and watch for posts on the Facebook group
Okay.
for the next meeting. All right.
Okay. All right.
Thank
Yeah.
you
If
so
you
much.
need more outreach, talks or events, let me know and I can arrange that for you too.
That sounds great. All
All
right.
right.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All
Gabe.
right.
Thanks,
Take care.
everybody. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night. All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye-bye.